Good morning, everyone. Just a few sentences about the organization on our side. At the end of the conference, the buses will be ready. And before that, could you please be 15 minutes before that to sign all the forms and so on, the paperwork that we need to be done on the conference side. So to all of you in Warsaw, could you be 15 minutes before the time you have your flight? Dominika will handle all the things with the buses and timetables. So please contact her in the break and she will tell you what time you have to be downstairs. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. David, could you please put on the transmission now? Good morning, everyone. It's nice to have another day during the EPTA conference. The first presentation, we will start from the first presentation, the second plenary session. Dr. Vincenzo Abbodante will present the prison service in time of COVID, impact of training and teaching. I would like to give the voice to Vincenzo Abbodante. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here today. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to make a speech at this conference. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Vincenzo Abbodante, and I am an executive of the Italian Penitentiary Police. I'm a professor at the Academy of Criminal Justice Pier Santi Mattarella in Rome. And actually, I am the head of the International Relations Service of the General Directorate for Training. Today, I'm going to share with you some information about the impact on training and teaching in prison service during the COVID. First, I would like to describe the prison administration, Italian prison administration, its staff, in order to understand the training needs. In fact, in the Italian penitentiary system, various professions coexist: educators, administrative staff, and police. And you know, penitentiary police is one of the 4 national police forces. So you can understand the different needs of training. Let me show you some, okay. Can you see the presentation? I hope
yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So, the Italian penitentiary system is managed by the Department of Penitentiary Administration, which in turn is run by the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice is in charge of other 3 different departments. That is to say, the Department of Judicial System, Department of Legal Affairs, and the Department of Juvenile and Community Justice. In Italy, the total amount of penitentiary institutes amounts to 190. There are 140 institutes of preventive detention, 49 institutes for sentence execution, and 1 institute for the execution of security measures. As for the DPA, its institutional mandate is to ensure that, as stated by the Italian Constitution in Article 27, the enforcement of the sentence should be focused on the rehabilitation and reintegration of detainees. The prison administration staff refers to 2 state compartments. The administrative and the technical one is the central functions compartment, while the penitentiary police corps is included in the security compartments. The professional figures of the central functions compartments are divided into sectors of activities, within which vertical mobility flats may be activated, in some cases also from one area to another, and from one sector to another. And you can see educators, accountants, secretaries, and penitentiary directors. All these figures are administrative figures. And then we have the penitentiary police. The rules of the prison police are four: rule of agent assistants, rule of superintendents, rule of inspectors, and officers' careers. And you know, doctors, teachers, psychologists are employees of other administrations. So you can understand how many different needs of training we have. After the training system of our administration, after the entrance competition, everyone attends basic training courses. Then the staff of the central function compartment passes to the new careers through requalification courses. The penitentiary police through internal or external competition, followed by technical professional training courses. All courses take place partly in the classroom and partly on the job in the workplace. For both sectors, there are other forms of updating, and partly on the job in the workplace. I'm sorry, for both sectors, there are other forms of updating and deepening with the help of special projects with European funds. Features are generally officials from various administrations, specialists, university professors, magistrates, doctors, sometimes commissioned through private training agencies. And here we are to the training during COVID-19. With the decree of the Prime Minister dated March 4, 2020, the Italian government had issued the first urgent and necessary measure for the containment and management of the epidemiological emergencies caused by COVID-19. With this decree, schools, university, vocational courses, and all the other educational activities were suspended. This is the reason why the pandemic has totally reshaped education in general. The outbreak of coronavirus upended every single aspect of social life, and in particular, every aspect of training in general. Also, Italian Department of Prison Administration had to respond to this global change and have done the best to timely change all the training offered to provide distance learning courses. The national emergency evoked by the well-known facts of the pandemic spread has suggested, as mentioned above, the redetermination of the courses according to e-learning modalities of the didactic activities already planned and programmed in branches at the Prison and Probation Officer Academy and the training schools of prison administration. Significant use of distance learning. Well, this was one of the ways that we used to our, offer of training. And, the pandemic has put a strain on every aspect of life in penitentiary administration at a time when recruiting new staff has become an urgent priority. The Directorate General for Training has maintained a firm point to avoid blocking training activities for new recruits. The reorganization was already started in part with the 177th cadet course. Instead of interrupting teaching, which would have been a plausible solution, was adopted for an alternative solution. With the lockdown, the Minister of Justice, for exceptional reason of urgency, reduced the duration of the course to 6 months. The trainees of 177th course were then placed on special leave at home. since the government regulation resulting from the ongoing epidemiological emergency did not allow them to be called back to their training sites. It was therefore decided to carry out the final examination remotely through the video conferencing tools available in the schools of the commissions and by individual trainers through the institutional email address assigned, or by other means in accordance with the exceptional provision issued by the competent government authorities. So, as you can see, distance learning was the first instrument that we used. And even before COVID, the use of a platform models had experimented using the called reuse of public platform, common and transversal content to the public sector. And we use a platform of the Tuscany region that we use it for our training. Then we used also Microsoft Teams platform. I don't know if you even know this platform, but we activate a lot of course for school staff for the didactic use with this special platform. This has made it possible to make the best use of technology to reach staff at their place of employment or at their homes through the Institute of Agile Works. This didactic intervention is also carried out through the teachers belonging and administration to use the live lesson in a methodologically adequate way. And at the same time create a setting for the comparison between the participants, or to carry out work in small groups, start guided discussions. Another solution that we adopted was the blended modality. Because, you know, we have, as I said before, one of the four national policies in our institution. So the policy, you know, has a different need of training. So for the initial training course for agents, face-to-face training was not completely renounced. And a blended modality has chosen, which includes phases in present in schools, adequate in logistic to health protocols for the prevention of contagions, and training phases synchronous or asynchronous from their respective domiciles. Safety protocols have also been defined for the preparatory training aspect for the firearm use, which in any case made it possible to carry out the exercise and realize the suicidality. At the end of the test, however, the training parts that involved prolonged physical contact were inevitably contracted, as well as the part of the internships in prisons, which was not allowed until the situation normalized. Naturally, operational testimonies were intensified, and brief and limited visits were made to prisons, aimed at making a first contact with the context. The final examination were carried out remotely, as I said before, through remote interviews that replace written tests. In conclusion, we can see the complexity of the role Italian prison administration had in society should not be underestimated. The Italian prison administration is entrusted with a diverse set of tasks, playing an important role in the criminal justice systems. The pandemic emergency has certainly made everything more complex and difficult, even in the field of staff training. However, the Italian prison administration but made responsible for the way in which it exercised the power entrusted to them. And this can only happen through serious and through training and updating of prison staff. especially to protect the fundamental rights of individuals and to prevent serious human rights violation from being committed against detainees, that the Italian prison administration has the duty to protect and re-educate. I thank you for the attention and for every kind of question. I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Do you have any question? David, could you please also put the chat on the screen?
Thanks so much for your presentation. I have two questions. You were talking about the exam which took place remotely by interview instead of written tests. What was your experience? Did it work well? Were there any difficulties? Is it something you think of doing also in the future?
Well, is it possible to use it in the future? I didn't understand the question very well because the audio is not so good. But I think if I think that we can also use in future distance learning, e-learning or distance training. It's a good way, but in particular for the the refresh courses or for updating courses. But for the initial training, we hope to adopt a blended modality. That is, I think, the best. In part in presence and in part for a distance training.
I will try. I don't know if you hear me better later. Like this is better. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. Yes.
I was interested also in the exam, in the examination. If you have any learnings by the examination in a distant way in the interviews which you did, I guess by Teams or Zoom. Because we are thinking about this too. That's why I'm interested in this experience.
Well, the tests were carried out remotely through remote interviews, and that replaced the written tests. So it's really, really different for an examination in presence. But we hope that in future the tests will be made in presence. Is the best way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There another question.
Mam jedno takie pytanie. Zaintrygowała mnie struktura wewnętrzna we Włoszech, wewnętrzna, jeżeli chodzi o więziennictwo. I chciałabym poprosić, gdyby mógł Pan kilka słów powiedzieć więcej na temat policji penitencjarnej, bo usłyszeliśmy o zasadach, natomiast bardzo interesująca jest ta formuła, wobec czego, jeżeli można by było prosić, to będziemy wdzięczni. Będę wdzięczna.
Okay. I would like to show you something about the penitentiary police. And the penitentiary police, is one of the 4 national police in Italy. We have the Carabinieri, we have the state police, we have the financial police, and then we have penitentiary police. And they have the same powers. It's, I know that penitentiary police is maybe, the Italian penitentiary police is maybe the one in the world. We have this particular police in prison, and we have so many. We are 40,000 members of the penitentiary police, and I'm checking a presentation, I'm sorry, on penitentiary police, just to, if I can show you something about the penitentiary police, but can I see on this? Just a moment. No. Okay, I can also, if you can write me your email, I can send you, presentation on penitentiary police, because it's very, very hard to describe these courts, because penitentiary police provide to, the security in the penitentiary institutions, but also we have a lot of competencies in other area. Also for, we participate to the re-education of inmates. We have also, we are agent and officers of police that I said, and we have a link, direct link with the magistrates. So it's very hard to explain our, our job in prison. And can I have your email? I can send you a presentation of our police. I think it's better.
Bardzo dziękuję. Zapytałam dlatego, że rezydowałam we Włoszech przez 5 lat i nie spotkałam się z tą formułą, dlatego zainteresowało mnie to i chciałam jeszcze zadać pytanie, oczywiście króciutkie, czy policja penitencjarna ma też uprawnienia do działania w warunkach wolnościowych? A oczywiście mail, tu skontaktujemy się z panem doktorem i rozpropagujemy mailowo te informacje, tę prezentację pozostałym uczestnikom konferencji.
Yes, we have the same powers and the same competences of the other colleagues of Carabinieri, Polizia is the same. But we, you can't see maybe us because we are in prisons. And I hope that in your period in Italy, you had never had problems with the law to, and maybe you never see our prison because we work there. And of course, we work also in the Ministry of Justice, in some tribunals, in some, Palace of Justice. And we used to move also detainees from prisons, and we use also to move detainees from prisons to hospitals, or from prisons to tribunals. And we have also a service, a naval service, a Navy service. We have yes, the same competences of the other colleagues. And I know that it's really hard to explain why police in penitentiary institution. Do we really need police in prisons? I want to just remember that Italy has mafia. We have a lot of criminal, organization, and maybe this is one of the reasons. That's why we need a police force in our prisons. Our, detainees maybe are a little bit different from the other, because our criminal organization, the Italian criminal organization, Mafia, 'Ndrangheta, Camorra, are really, really dangerous organization. And to contrast them, we maybe need a police in penitentiary institutions.
Bardzo dziękuję, panie doktorze. Wyczerpał pan już moje deficyty w tym zakresie wiedzy. Natomiast rzeczywiście nie spotkałam się z tą policją, ponieważ nie miałam zatargów z wymiarem sprawiedliwości. Dziękuję bardzo.
You are so kind. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have a time only for one question. So there are any questions from the audience? Professor?
Could you give more details about cooperation between Italian penitentiary institution and Vatican?
Yes, we have a cooperation, you know, that is Vatican, you know, is a little part, it is a state in our country, and we have a total cooperation with Vatican. But Vatican has one little institute, penitentiary institute, and I think it's like just 3 or 4 rooms, and we don't work, you know, in their states, but there is a cooperation. But I cannot, you know, it's the cooperation the same that we have with other states, and there is no others, you know, in particular. Just that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. And another title of another presentation is Innovative Approaches to Prison Staff Enhancement with International Cooperation. Czech Prison Service Academy is presented by the director František Vlach. He joined the EPTA in 2016. He supports the Czech prison staff international relations as he considers exchange of information one of the most relevant parts of the professional development. He's going to share his experience and ideas with you, and this is kind of special presentation. You will see the video which director František Vlach prepared for us. And David, could you please continue?
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, let me introduce myself. I am František Vlach, and I am the director of the Czech Prison Service Academy. I would like to talk about the importance of international cooperation in the penitentiary field and about the necessity of professional English language training. International cooperation in the field of prison staff enhancement is a vital element often mentioned in international documents and highlighted at international conferences. There are 2 basic reasons why the need to get engaged in international activities is not saturated. There are financial aspects and a language barrier. Unlike other prison staff training centers in Europe that carry out international projects, in order to receive funding for selected professionals to visit prisons abroad, the Czech Prison Service Academy needs to find a different way to finance international activities. I am not going to explain why we cannot get involved in European projects, because it's quite a complicated issue and the reason is not really relevant. Instead, I would like to inform you about our solution. On the basis of bilateral agreements that determine conditions for mutual visits, we invite our partners to conferences, workshops, and exchange study visits. Every year, the sending institution selects the group and covers international transportation expenses. The hosting institution prepares a professional program and provides accommodation, catering, and local transportation to the foreign delegation. The number of the delegation members is usually 3, but it can be even 10 or more depending on the needs and the possibilities of the partners. The working program is usually 3 days long. That means that the delegation arrives on Monday afternoon and leaves on Friday morning. The number of the persons and days is the same in the following year when the partners exchange their roles. This system allows the Czech prison and academy staff to meet their colleagues from abroad and discuss specific fields of their professional interests. During non-COVID times, every year the Academy generally hosts about 10 delegations from abroad and organizes about 10 travels abroad for the Czech prison staff. Such a system may be recommended as effective, relatively simple, and low cost. During the pandemic, we have initiated bilateral virtual meetings with our partners to exchange information and talk about the future. We even succeeded to sign a memorandum of understanding with a new partner, the Lithuanian Training Center, during one of our online meetings. And I would like to thank our Lithuanian colleagues for their active cooperation. To tackle the problem of the language barrier is more complex. Of course, there are countries in which very similar or even the same languages are used. For example, communication between Czech and Slovak professionals is not a problem. But the meetings of the Czech prison professionals with, let's say, German or French-speaking ones is not possible without an interpreter. As a professional interpretation cannot be provided due to high costs, we try to find prison professionals who could take the role of the interpreter. However, this cannot be considered the right solution. The problem is that there may be no person available, and even if we find someone, he or she may not be able to understand the specific vocabulary or the meaning of the ideas, because it is not the field of their expertise. The best solution seems to use English as the working language. General English is taught in most primary and secondary schools in Europe. However, the standards of teaching vary a lot. In some countries, even young people cannot communicate their ideas in English at all. I guess that in all Czech prisons, there may be about 40 professionals who can make themselves understood well in professional discussions with their foreign colleagues or give presentations in English. The total number of the Czech prison staff is about 12,000. I believe that at least for 700 of them, it would be vital to exchange information and good practices with their foreign colleagues. The situation in the Czech Prison Service Academy regarding English skills is not very good either. Taking in consideration just the managers and the teachers, the number of which is 25. Only up to 5 of us can speak English, but only to a certain extent. I have visited a few academies abroad and found out that some have a similar problem with the language barrier as we do. What can we do to improve prison staff's professional English competencies? The Czech Prison Service Academy developed a system of unique English training in 2014. I presented the results of the first English course for penitentiary practice at the EPTA conference held in Kalisz in 2016. The participants of the conference were surprised that the attendees learned to present their prisons very efficiently in English during a 10-week course. Since then, we have run a few more courses specifically tailored to the particular group's needs. but the goal is always the same: to improve effective professional communication with foreign colleagues. In addition to the courses, we have launched a series of English workshops. They are open to present professionals who need English for their practice and want to improve their communication skills. The applicant's level of English is not taken in consideration and the groups are mixed. The topics of the workshops may be, for example, presentation skills, discussion skills, or vocabulary development in certain areas such as security, treatment of prisoners of K9 units, to name just a few. A workshop may last 1, 2, or 3 days. Some take place in selected prison settings. The number of participants is usually between 6 and 12, but there may be more professionals if the topic allows it. We invite our foreign partners to take part as we find international English workshops much more effective. Some workshops, both internal and international, are facilitated by foreign experts. So far, we have had English workshop facilitators from Romania and Texas. The pandemic has dramatically affected our development system of professional English training. In March 2021, we introduced a pilot English webinar on Skype for Business platform. The topic was prison leadership, and the facilitator was the current Director General of the National Prison Administration of Romania. The target group were prison managers, heads of departments, treatment specialists, and other prison officers who found the topic useful for their practice. The participants represented the Czech and Slovak prison systems. The webinar program was divided into 2 main parts: a lecture activating the participants' listening skills, and a case study in the form of reading comprehension practice, followed by a discussion focused on the participants' communicative proficiency. After this successful event, the Czech participants asked for one more pilot webinar to discover if they themselves were ready to facilitate international English webinars. In April, the webinar facilitators were a Czech prison governor and a Czech psychologist. The main topic was COVID-19 in prison. 12 professionals representing the prison systems of the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Latvia provided information about the pandemic situation and presented the most effective and innovative measures taken. A vivid discussion followed. The Czech professionals have proved that they can take the role of experts into future webinars organized within the language training program. The participants' feedback confirmed the fact that in order to keep English communication skills active during the pandemic, international webinars are probably the most effective form of training. The professionals appreciate the opportunity to exchange information and good practice. However, they agree that face-to-face meetings would be much more efficient and pleasant. The last webinar took place in June. 6 Czech prison professionals and 6 other professionals from Estonia, France, Latvia, Lithuania, Lower Saxony, and Slovakia were the participants who shared their opinions and experience with leadership in crisis. The webinar was facilitated by a former prison governor from Lower Saxony. We also invited 2 observers, one focused on the participants' language skills, the other is preparing for his lecturing in the future webinar. Detailed information about the webinars, including the participants' feedback, has been published on the EPTA website. Let me take the opportunity to express my appreciation to Julia Ilina for her continuing support and friendly communication. At the moment, we are preparing 3 more international English webinars. Each webinar will be led by a different foreign expert. I would like to highlight that we highly appreciate that the experts devote their precious time to sharing their professional expertise to the participants representing different prison systems, and they do that for free. Let me summarize the main ideas I want to address to all of you as EPTA members. To ensure international exchange of information and good practices, professional English language training to selected prison staff categories, such as governors or treatment specialists, is absolutely essential. Penitentiary English with imperative for international meetings and conferences is not taught at public schools in Europe. It is the critical proactive role of academies to provide language training for penitentiary purposes and practice. National professional English courses and workshops are valid, but international English training is definitely much more effective. In the times of pandemic, international English webinars have proved useful, and in the post-COVID times, they may become a complementary part to the traditional training. The Czech Prison Service Academy, as the initiator and organizer of this innovative program, would like to encourage EPTA members to get involved. More organizers or co-organizers will offer more training opportunities to prison staff in Europe, sharing experience with preparation of such online events, using different platforms, testing new methods and strategies. This all will improve international online English training. The selection of participants is also important. Each webinar covers a different topic, so to accept, let's say, an IT expert to a webinar focused on psychology is nonsense. In order to make international English training, efficient experts on different penitentiary topics and teachers of English are the core. We can learn from each other and together with the vision to provide the best services for the prison professionals who need English for their work. I would be grateful if you spread the information about the possibility to apply for international English webinars to your prison staff and to explain the main ideas of this training activity to them. I would like to thank you all who have already started to cooperate with us in the international English training activities. Your support and ideas are really vital. Particularly, I would like to thank Peter Neuhebel from Slovakia, Dan Halkin from Romania, Aurimas Nauseda from Lithuania, and Peter Schulte, Helmut Krone, and Ridiger Wolgemuth from Lower Saxony. I would like to finish with the idea proposed by Cédric Lebosset from France. He says that our English training initiative could lead the EPTA steering committee to think of guidelines such as the one created by the European Judicial Training Network. I would like to wish you all a successful school year, and I hope to see you or your colleagues not only online, but also in person in the near future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Due to the fact that it was a video, we decided, actually the director of František Vlach decided to use the chat. David, could you please open the chat. If there are any short question, they will respond on the chat. If not, we will send you an email address to the presenter, and could you please send the questions by email? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, there's an email address and one question. So could you please explain it? If František will have one question. Is there any other questions on the chat? I can read it out loud here, maybe, because it's, thank you very much, František. Workshops are great, and I'd like to appreciate great efforts of Eva Pudnow. Thank you very much for the presentation. I think we have now a short break.